Welcome to our webinar with the awesome Dr. Sonia Chopra. I'm Dr. Nacha. Going to meet Sonia in just a second. I want to share with you that Dr. Sonia Chopra has an amazing Nacho sponsored discount on her endo coaching program. To save just by being in Dental Nachos, text Sonia to 215-543-6454. Text Sonia to 215-543-6454. What is your current dental school debt level? Drop that in the chat if you would like to. I'd like to share how much debt you have as a current dental student, as a new dentist, as a dentist 10 years out of school. If you would like help managing that debt, text debt to 215-543-6454. Text debt to 215-543-6454. You'll get connected with two awesome sponsors that can help you manage your dental school debt. Make sure you're not paying too much. Figure out when to pay next, figure out which program makes the most sense for you. You do not want to miss out on this opportunity. Text debt to 215-543-6454. If you're looking for a job, we can help you at Dentist Job Connect. You can go to dentistjobconnect.com or text job to 215-543-6454. We have over 200 open positions at the time of this recording. Some of these positions are truly amazing from so many angles. They have a $1,000 a day guarantee. They give you the opportunity to do specialty care. They support you as both a professional and a person. Text job to 215-543-6454. And if you're looking for help in hiring an associate to help you unlock more growth, more sanity, more time with your family, more profit, text hire to 215-543-6454 to get help from Dentist Job Connect in hiring the right associate for you. So I'm so thrilled to welcome to Dental Nachos TV, Dr. Sonia Chopra. She is welcome to start her video. We're going to chat about a number of things tonight. Welcome, Dr. Sonia. You are so well known in the, you should call it the obturation circles and dental circles, right, of the world, the gutta purchase circles. Before we start chatting, just give our audience like kind of a 2-minute drill on what you're doing, where you are, how you're helping dentists, just orient them to what you do.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Sonia Chopra. I am a board certified endodontist in Charlotte, North Carolina. I have been practicing endo for the last 15 years, and I love helping general dentists master the art of endo. Because let's face it, we don't get that much education about endo in dental school. So I saw this happening with my own community of dentists within Charlotte, and then realized that everyone kind of needed it. So I started eSchool, Everyday Endo Made Easy, so that I can really help support general dentists, kind of fast track their success through endo. So you don't have to hit all those hiccups like I did through my career. And just want to save more teeth. That's my main mission. And I want dentists to do it with ease and simplicity and confidence. So
every time a tooth is extracted, an implant is put in, do you get
it
like
hurts.
a
It hurts my heart. Yeah. Hurts my heart.
There's nothing better than the natural tooth. Laugh of a child, no way. World peace, not even close. The natural tooth. So we're going to chat about a number of things, but I would like you to tell our audience about your work schedule. Tell them about your work schedule and how that's transformed over your career.
Yeah, so I got really fast at endo. So I started working in my practice 15 years ago, working 5 days a week, like most people, right? But I've gotten super efficient and I really value my time. And so I've allowed myself to produce the same amount in 5 days a month, as opposed to 5 days a week.
5 days a month instead of 5 days a week. There are amazing unlocks, hacks to success. You've spoken about so many awesome things. We're mainly talking about your eSchool and how you help with clinical endo, but you have so many awesome pieces of content like you shared at Super Dentist Boost. So to bring that to next here, you were at Super Dentist Boost Camp in Philadelphia. What was your favorite part of Super Dentist Boost Camp? And of course, what was your favorite food or restaurant here in Philadelphia?
My favorite part was obviously meeting the people like you.
Thanks.
But also so many people that I had only known online, and I was actually able to meet them in real life. Like Laura Brenner was one of them.
Yeah.
I had never met her before. So I think connecting, that's always my favorite thing to do, is connecting with people. So, and I'm kind of shy actually. So if you see me out and you want to say hi, please approach me. I would love it. I actually love hanging out. So that's really my favorite part. And I would say my favorite food was, I got into town a little early and my room wasn't ready. So I went 2 doors down to the park next
Yeah,
to the
park
hotel we were
restaurant.
staying at. And I had lunch by myself because I didn't know anyone yet. And I had creme brulee for dessert, which was mwah, beautiful.
Yeah,
It was great.
PARC Park is one. And I want to, thank you so much again for contributing content to Super Dentist Boost Camp. We have our next one coming up next year. My team member, Lindsay, can share how people can sign up for that wait list. They can also text Boost to 215-543-6454.
Really a nice event.
I admire
Just
you
right.
sat in the audience and listened to the other speakers.
Yeah.
If someone's out there as an associate about to be a practice owner, a new practice owner, why should they go to Boost Camp to see amazing people like you and Laura Brenner and Mitchell Rubenstein and the speakers there?
I think everything that people shared was incredible. And it's really nice to hear people's stories and connect with them through their stories and their experiences through this crazy world of dentistry, and realize you're not alone, and see who you connect with, because somebody has a little nugget that's going to help you through something that you're going through in practice.
Yeah, do one thing different that you get to do
Yeah.
different forever. Change is not a bad word. And that's our whole point of Dental Nachos: learn, laugh, and feel less alone. Well, I want to share, Sonia, Endo gets a lot of awesome attention because we asked people to sign up and submit questions. And we got so many questions, we broke the internet, but we're going to go through some here tonight. And if people don't get the answer, that's why you should register for eSchool and Sonia's coaching. Text Sonia to 215-543-6454, or go into the chat right now. My awesome team member, Lindsay, is giving you the link and the discount code to save from our Nacho sponsor. Well, this one came up a lot. I picked ones that came up a lot, Sonia. So efficiency and speed. We all remember that feeling of sweating on the outside, crying on the inside of a dental school root canal, or a time earlier in our career where the patient says, "Are we done yet?" And you say, "We're not even close." But in our head, we say, "Okay, soon." So talk in general just about efficiency and speed with endo.
Yes, I think that a lot of people overcomplicate endo. We're just overanalyzing things. We think that things should be in this exact recipe. And if this doesn't happen, I can't move on to this next step. And I've been watching dentists, because people come to my office too to do a live patient hands-on course as well.
Awesome.
Like it's on people. And so you're not watching me do root canal. I'm watching you do root canal. And I see people, they make love to the tooth.
Tell us what that means. It's an 8:40 p.m. webinar, PG-13. Here we are. So Sonia Chopra, tell us what that means.
So I can see where they're struggling. I'm like, okay, just stop right there. I'm going to just have you do this step. Like sometimes you have to move to the next step in order to come back to finish this step. I don't know if that makes sense, but it does make sense when you kind of build on top of one topic to the next when you're talking about endo. But for example, obturation, right? People, I will see, sorry, my lights just went out. I don't know.
That's okay. We can see it. It fits with the theme you're going with, endo after dark. So
I'll see people pick up a master cone, try to measure it, and then put it in to do their cone fit. And they'll struggle. They'll just we're wasting minutes just trying to measure that cone to 19 millimeters and then stick it in the tooth. And really all I need to do is pick it up and drop it in the tooth.
Right.
And it's just okay, there's these little tiny things that make your procedure go so long, or maybe you're just playing with that apex locator and it's beep, 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 beep. But there's ways to just make it faster.
And I think also when I haven't done a root canal in many years, but I'm glad to be helping other people do that. We have access, cleaning the canals and shaping and obturation. And, you see endodontists, complete molar root canals and what we find to be amazingly efficient times. But remember, you're also not stopping to do class 2s. You're also not stopping to do hygiene checks. So I think it's for the general dentist, we have to even work on our systems more. Because my program director told me this, Sonia, and it is one of the reasons why there's value in being a specialist. general dentists are shifting gears constantly, crown, denture, endo. So in your e-school, there's an online component and then the coaching component. Tell our audience listening in how they can improve their efficiency and speed through e-school, how many coaching sessions there are, and also what kind of supportive online content do they get for signing up?
Yeah, so eSchool comes with a set of videos that you do like a self-instruction. So you watch the videos first, and then you're gonna still have questions. Like that's just how it is. So you get the clarity to your questions on our coaching calls, and those run usually about 2 hours because people are super engaged in asking questions. Plus there's a Facebook group that in between the coaching calls, we're still connected. So if you have a case that you are stuck on, you post that and you basically have an endodontist on speed dial that's willing to help you.
I love that. You call it endo mentoring on demand. I like that. Endo
There you
mentoring
go.
on demand.
Yeah.
So if you missed my initial part, we do have an awesome sponsor that helps manage your dental school debt. You can text debt to 215-543-6454. You also can text Sonia to that exact same number, 215-543-6454, to get a discount on Sonia Chopra's amazing endo coaching program. So we talked about your work schedule, boost in efficiency and speed. Another one that came up, finding MB2. I want to share, I am not as good of a meme maker as dental school pros, but I have a very funny meme, Sonia, of it says the front desk talking to a new dentist. And it's like, it says MB2, did they find it yet? Right. So that seems to be came up a number of times. MB2, talk about some of those challenges.
So the MB2 is, I feel like it's like the holy grail of endo. Everybody wants to find it and people really struggle with it. And there's some hard truths about the MB2, but there's a way to make it easier, or at least trust yourself to say, hey, this number 3 or 14 is for me, but this one over here is not. So if you're using a cone beam, you can really be smart with your cone beam. There's a lot of strategies that you can put into play to make sure that you don't get into a tooth like a maxillary first molar and say, oh, I'm going to have to refer this mid-treatment.
I actually want to share it. Stop you for a second. That's great. I always say interject, not interrupt. Interject with good ideas. So we've had an endodontist in our practice for many years. One was my close friend who was with us for the longest time. And this wasn't funny, but she would be doing cases efficiently, but then she would get stuck like 1 out of her 8 cases. And I always go, man, like she is the superhero of endo. How can general dentists identify where that stuckification problem will happen? So the CBCT is a big help in your hands.
Yeah, it's not necessary to have one, but if you do have one and you're already using it for things like implants, like you want to utilize it for this too. It's like it will help you with your risk assessment. It's going to help you really understand canal anatomy, whether it's a maxillary first molar or maybe it's a premolar. Either one, it's going to be useful. And you're going to say, yeah, I feel comfortable doing that, or no, I don't feel comfortable doing this one. And it is going to save you chair time. The number one thing I want dentists to learn is how to really protect their chair time. And that's where you get really productive. And when you can pick and choose the ones that actually bring you joy, we want the root canals to bring you joy. We don't want them to cause you stress. It's okay to punt the ones that you're not comfortable with, but this is going to give you the confidence on how to really manage these types of teeth.
I love that. And I just want to catch everyone up. We're talking with my amazing friend, nacho sponsor, Dr. Sonia Chopra. We have so many people here. I want to share this, Sonia, and it's going to kind of upset me. My team member knows. So I do many, what I call valuable free webinars. And sometimes I get 100 people to sign up. Sometimes I get 300 people to sign up. Sometimes I get 30 people to sign up. But I have noticed, Sonia, that I get about a 50% show up rate for my webinars.
Yeah.
And we have a higher one for your webinars. So you have already beaten me. So we have, a higher than a 50% show up rate here. So Sonia, the middle mesial canal, any comment on that before we move to the next one?
Yeah, that is just another one of those things. So I think between the MB2 and the middle mesial, you there's a few things you need to know. You need to know what's the percentage that they're there. That's just like textbook knowledge, right? When I ask people about the MB2, how often is it there? They're like, 60%. And the answer is really 96.
Gotcha.
And then for middle mesials, it's around 18%. So you need to know that it's there often enough that you need to start looking for it. And then once you know it's there, then you need to know where to start looking for it. For example, and that's another thing a cone beam would help you with, because every case it's going to be different. And then in the middle mesial canals, you always want to like trough a little bit between your mesiobuccal and your mesiolingual canals on those lower molars. And then you need to know what the canal looks like, because some people will be in the right vicinity and then they'll totally not even realize that little white dot was a canal. So these are like videos that I have in eSchool that actually show you that. So you can actually see it and then put it into action.
And I think that's really, you're younger than me. I graduated in 2002, but I didn't have any on-demand learning. I didn't have any webinars. I didn't have any online programs. And they're magical because you can literally pick up your phone and watch something again and again and again. So it to help you troubleshoot it. I always talk about friend and phones. I want to give a shout out to Megan Gregory from GenoWave. She's watching in. She sponsored Boost Camp with GenoWave.
Hi, Megan.
Megan, you're welcome to drop any contact for you because you're awesome. No one else, just Megan can drop her own sponsor contact information in the chat for everyone to see. Also, if you're watching it on the chat, watching in on this, you're welcome to submit a question to Sonia for the Q&A. I'm going to go through some of the ones we have here for a little while longer, but if you have a specific question you're here, please put it in the Q&A and we would be glad to ask Sonia that. So now this is a really good one that came up and you've already alluded to a few things. You didn't practice as a general dentist at all, did you, Sonia?
I did.
Oh, you did. So
for 3 years.
So
and by the way, I graduated in 2003. So now
okay, we're about to say, yeah. So actually, this is really important. And this is the stuff I always talk about your dental core, your mind skills, your word skills, your hand skills, and your heart skills. Now, the heart skills coupled with your stomach churning skills, when to refer, when to not refer. Well, the endodontists think I'm stupid if I start this. Just give us some general best practices or awareness on working with referrals and how best to communicate.
So I love relationships. When I work with dentists, I really want to know them. And I don't want to just know them. Like, I think it's really nice if you can actually sit down over dinner, which I feel like some people really hate these days. They don't want to waste their time with the specialist, but that's where we get to know you. That's where friendships are made. And when that happens, that relationship happens, you develop this ease of talking to each other and communicating with each other and extending help to one another. Does that make sense? So
I love that. It's the knowing who has your back and it's not going to judge you. I think what you said is important. And I mean, you gave yourself some self-awareness. You said, tend to be shy, come up and say things to me, right?
Yeah.
But I would encourage you, to know that about yourself. My awesome wife is like that, but sometimes go up and go out of your way to say something to somebody else. Don't make us extroverts do all the hard work, right? No, but saying when it goes to referrals, reach out to your specialist early just to develop relationship. It doesn't be proactive instead of reactive.
Yeah.
The time to call your oral surgeon for the first time is not when a patient's in the chair and a root tip's broken off, because these oral surgeon specialists have lives too. So you would say that develop relationships with your specialist.
Yes. And it's okay if you want to do your own endo like that. We need you. There are like 15 million root canals done every year. It's like crazy amount. And that would mean that every specialist out there, because there's like only a few thousand, they would have to do 20 root canals a day each in order to handle all of that. So we need your help. And I think that it is a relationship that's important. And when we can all work together, that's when everybody wins. So
I love that. And also patients need your help too. I mean, early on in Dental Nachos, I said something that I didn't realize how narrow-minded I was. I said, if you don't refer at least one patient to a prosthodontist a month, you're nuts, right? Nacho nuts. Because I said, if you're a general dentist and you're seeing all these patients, at least one of them is going to either have a psychological problem or a tooth problem that requires some high-level pros work. And someone wrote back and said, Paul, the closest prosthodontist to me is over 2 hours away.
I believe it.
My patients. And I didn't think of that. I was narrow-minded. I thought, it's all like Philadelphia, New Jersey. So the other part is, if you're an associate dentist listening here, you may be in an area where the patients need you to do this.
Right.
There might not even be someone. who it
Right.
doesn't mean to go out of your comfort zone and retreat every second molar, but it means that if you can start to contribute to the endo success, it helps everyone.
Yeah, I get a lot of dentists that take ESOL, they are in rural areas, there's no endodontist, or maybe they're an associate in a DSO practice and they're expected to do it. Or, maybe their endodontist is so far booked out that they can't serve all the patients. So
Yeah, that's a problem too.
yeah,
Because our patients, we actually have an endodontist come in twice a month, but that's not to service all of our patients. But this is a challenge, right? We say, oh, our endodontist is coming in 2 weeks, Mrs. Smith. You might not want to wait that long. Go see Dr. K. And they go, well, Dr. K can't get me in for 4 weeks. So
right.
that booking out factor is key. I'm going to drop in the chat, everyone. If you'd like to save on Dr. Sonia's endo coaching and her online course, just go into the chat, check out the link and use the code Dental Nachos discount to save. So this came up. Oh, go ahead, Sonia.
No, I was going to say, I think at a minimum, like every dentist should really understand emergency dentistry, which is a whole lot of endo, right?
Yeah.
Even if you're like super scared of endo, like endo really makes you nervous, you can make it not so nervous and still help your people on a Friday at 4:30 p.m.
We had some of this when we get to it. It's about pulpotomies, pulpectomies, how you do the first lines of things. So this gets to this, and I did a multiple year GPR, and I thought I was going to do endo and crown lengthening and implants, and I focus a lot of implants and restorative dentistry, and I referred out endo. But I even do remember, as someone who's not an endodontist, the fear of, okay, how big do I make this access, and how am I going to perforate? So I'm sure this is a common question in e-school. So tell us some help with that.
Losing you.
You lost me? Lindsay, can you hear me?
I can hear you okay, Paul. I think it
Is
might
that
be.
my internet?
Can you hear? We can hear you, Sonia.
It might be.
That's okay. I can just entertain everybody for a few minutes.
Paul raised his hand. Other Paul.
Other Paul here?
Paul and Guardi raised his
Oh,
hand.
Paul. Paul, you can ask a question in the chat, or I can unmute you if you want. Can you hear me,
Hold
Sonia?
on.
Sure, no problem. Text Sonia in the thing, say no problem. Paul will take over when she's back. Paul has a question in the chat. Oh, he didn't mean to raise his hand. Okay, Paul, we come up with a question. So as we're waiting for Sonia to reconnect here, I want to remind you that she has her eSchool program. Registration is open until October 1st. Take advantage of investing in you, whether you are the amazing people watching in right now, whether you're watching the recording. Investing in you with amazing online learning that you can do anytime, anywhere, and then having Dr. Sonia for 8 coaching sessions is well worth the cost of this program. The ability to help patients, produce more patient-centered production, and be there for your patients and team. And most of all, everyone listening, just making yourself feel more confident when you walk into the operatory. So to get our nacho discount on Sonia's coaching program, you can text Sonia to 215-543-6454, or you can
Sorry.
just go into the chat. No problem. We can see you now.
I swear it doesn't happen on coaching calls.
I just called while you were gone. I told people that endo is just pre-implant therapy. Is that okay with you? No, I'm just joking.
I'm gonna come through the screen.
Yeah. I didn't tell them that. I just tell them about your program. So we left off with access openings and perforations. That people are afraid of making it too big. Perfect.
Yeah.
I remember that well. It'll bring me back to 2004 residency. So share with them some concepts or best practices on that.
Access is probably the one thing that I agree with how they taught in dental school. Everything else, I go against the grain, and that's what makes you more efficient. But the textbook access is really what you want, because that's within that access is where the canals are. They're not over here, so you don't have to make it bigger. You really need to keep your access tight so that way you can actually use those walls to crawl down and go into the orifice. When you make your access too big, you actually lose your landmarks and it makes instrumentation harder. So access is the one thing that I agree with the way we were taught in dental school. Perforations are an issue, but again, if you really understand anatomy where you have things, that's the only place where you need a little bit of memorization in endo. But when you respect your access and you know your anatomy percentages, you can really prevent some perforations. Plus, you really need a little bit of extra magnification. Now, I'm not saying you need a microscope, but having an endo set of loops is really going to help you like not get so nervous during your endo access, because when you can see what you're treating, it's so much easier. So if you do a lot of endo, I think a high power loop is really a great investment.
I think that's an amazing tip that you just shared there. And even people take away is that if you're going to be committed to endo, investing in loops that are just for endo, and I've had different magnifications of loops throughout my career, and maybe they're not the loops you use for a crown prep or a filling because you might lose orientation for that. I mean, I know now that you can do crown preps under a microscope, but I also know that that requires a high level ability to use a microscope to do a crown prep. But at least if you sit there and you can kind of just blow the tooth up in your eye to such a, let's say 4.5x or 6x, I think that's a really great tip. And also, if anybody would like to drop any questions in the Q&A.
I think 5x is a great number to start. I have had people do 6 and they find it even easier to see. So the higher mag, the better. I will say when I see people coming into eSchool Live and they're working on live patients, they're welcome to use all my gadgets in my operatory. And some of them actually use the scope from start to finish.
Oh, cool.
And they've never used the scope before. So it's kind of wild to see them transition. And, you know, once you get good at using a scope for endo, you can actually use it for your restorative and then market yourself differently to the community too. So.
Awesome. I think that's really great. So we had a good question in the chat, and starting with 5x. Lindsay, if anyone does ask a question on Facebook Live, you're welcome to pop it in here. But now this is another one. So I kind of joke that endodontists have it easy. You don't have to check hygiene patients. Here's your treatment planning seminar, Sonia, that endodontists have. Do you want the root canal or not? End of treatment planning seminar. So I make these jokes, but I make them out of love for endodontists. I know fear of file breaking was something that bothered me. And it wasn't, you know, even when we're stocking things for endodontists, we want to make sure we don't break any files. So tell us some best practices to avoid this.
So there's strategies all over the place with endo, even with file breaking or even with your hygiene checks. That's a great time for hypochlorite to sit and marinate. So like take advantage of that time that you need to pop out of the operatory and come back. So there's so many strategies. Same thing with file breaking. You can really prevent that. It's harder to get things out. I'm more of a bypasser than a file remover, but I would rather be a preventer. So I like to teach people how to prevent it so that you don't even have to ever deal with it. And again, there's strategies in the way that you instrument that will prevent your file breaking.
And these are the things that people, just for us to continue to kind of inspire people to move forward. Sign up for your coaching program. You're totally a sponsor and totally awesome. This is the magic of the interactive coaching sessions, I imagine, with you. You have 8 sessions and you get to kind of your attention and saying, hey, this happened. And you were even saying before, people can share their cases. We want to get specific answers to specific questions. And when you can actually implement the thought or the advice on your patient the next day and then give us feedback on how it's like people just accelerate. It's like I really find it to be a very transformative program. Like transformation truly does happen. And I see the confidence just escalate. It's crazy. And this is where I just want to pause and be one of these medium-age dentists that hopefully kindly annoys and inspires the dentists of all ages and stages. You saw me run Boost Camp, Sonia, and this is not me really trying to fish for compliments, so be totally accurate. Did you think I was a confident speaker who had spoken in front of groups before?
I mean, you crushed it.
And did it seem like
didn't you hear me cackling in the back? You had me laughing really hard.
And none of that is natural, right?
Yeah.
None of it. In 2007, I was asked to speak at the Greater New York Dental Meeting, and I said, I better not mess this up. And I invested a few $1,000s in speaker training, more than what I was getting paid to speak, because I said, I need to know these skills to be able to deliver a good job. So I've used those skills that I've invested in for literally 15 years after that. And this is what people can do when they take your training, because it's about investing in yourself and your patients and skills to use forever. And everyone watching should feel lucky that this is available, because just for a moment for the next one, I know we are sharing your endo coaching program, an online program. You also do have people come to your office for live patient courses. Is that correct?
Correct. And that's it's only 5 people, so it's very intimate and it's very high touch where like I'm with you in the operatory.
And is it a requirement to do the online coaching to do that, or do they?
Yeah, you have to do the coaching because I want you're going to be with me for 4 days in my practice and you have to be ready to implement all the eSchool coaching concepts. We don't have time to learn it and implement it in the weekend. So we get through all of the real concepts. These are like real life endodontic concepts, not like things that are pulled out of a textbook and taught to you in dental school. It's, you're when you're in dental school, you're learning from people who don't practice every day, right?
Yeah, and that's the key, right? You know what I describe dental school instructors as, and it isn't actually meant to be demeaning. It's meant to be aware. It's like your dental career is like a 4-year-old child that never grows up. And the people teaching you are either grandparents that had kids 30 years ago, or sometimes people who had never had kids. And what that means is they've never practiced as a practice owner. So they lack the pressure of getting through your day to be successful, keep your office in business. Someone did say from Facebook Live, take the course. Your course is amazing, Sonia. So we'll tag you there so you can look on your phone and see who that fan was.
Thank you.
And one of our people asked is, do you work on patients during your course? I know everyone needs to take the coaching and the online training to get to your course. So during the live patient session, I'm just asking if you work on actual patients.
You do 4 root canals and I get on a call with you to figure out like, hey, what are you looking for? Some people didn't get any endo and they're just graduating, and so they really want easy ones, and other people have been doing endo for a long time and they want to be more challenged, so I get to customize it for you.
This is the question. You can be licensed in any state, or you must be licensed in North Carolina?
You can be licensed anywhere, even Canada.
Oh,
so cool. You can come here as long as all you have to do is tell your malpractice that you have an event, and just to put that addendum on your COI and you're fine. And then you do need to bring an assistant, which you want, especially like when I see the best clinical outcomes that come out of that course are when the doctor invests in their team members. And my team is there too. And they are going to come in and show your team how to take a badass x-ray, how to like do like the paper point exchange and all that stuff. Like you watch me and my team, and then my team helps you and you learn how to take x-rays under the rubber dam, and it's crazy good. And then you have somebody who can help you implement everything when you get home, and you don't have to do all of it yourself.
I want to reinforce that. We're just going to take about another 8 minutes of your time, Sonia, but I want to reinforce that I did not sprout out of a Facebook Cabbage Patch land in 2017. I was a dentist I've been a dentist since 2002, and I have taught, Sonia, 50 my first implant courses. And every time we would teach it, I told the dentist, pay your assistant to come help you during the patient surgery, because when you go back, they're going to freak out. And the ones that really got it said, sure, I'll pay my assistant to come. They need to learn. So I think that's a really valuable part of the process. So rubber dam and gagging, we all remember that fear in dental school, putting on the 14 clamp, having it fly across the room, doing the dam. So anything on rubber dam and gagging to help our audience. Yeah,
those rubber dams that are flying across the room, they've been stretched out for miles. So get a new clamp that's more sturdy. And when you switch out your clamps, you'll see you have less rubber dam issues. So I find that people don't switch those out. Gagging, I find that once you get the rubber dam on, people stop gagging. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, I agree with you. I liken it this. My wife had parakeets. I never had a parakeet, but I know when you put like a blanket over their cage, they're supposed to calm down. And when I actually shared, I had a pediatric dentist teach me in my residency, and he made us use the rubber dam for every procedure. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because when I was a new dentist, you work faster with the rubber dam. I know with endo, it's a non-negotiable for patient safety and isolation. But what I can share is learning that you can also use it for your restorative procedures to make everything more efficient.
Yeah. The rubber
Obturation,
dam should take you 2 minutes to get on. And when you learn what clamp goes on what tooth, and then you get, again, you have your system. So that's another thing. We teach you the systems that make you that efficient.
yeah, it's systems to success is so key. Obturation, someone said their gutta percha bends at the apex and they have obturation problems. This is us giving everyone a taste test of your learning. So I know you could talk for the next 2 hours on obturation, but if you just had 2 minutes on this, what would you share?
Well, it's a common problem that many people have. And so whoever wrote that question in is not alone. I want them to know that it's a very common problem. But something's off with the instrumentation workflow. Maybe your working length was off because your hand file was sitting next to an amalgam filling and it made your apex locator go wonky. So making sure your working length is just right and making sure you have a consistent reference point so that your rubber stopper goes to the right spot every single time. And then there's certain gutta percha that's better than others, believe it or not. There's newer gutta percha that is like laser cut that truly matches the rotary file. But there's other gutta percha that don't match at all. So it's possible you just have like the other gutta percha. I have a workflow that is like, it's so simple and it's so reproducible that this step actually, that problem goes away.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I like that. Preventing ledges, anything on preventing ledges?
If you have a good glide path, you should be good. And this kind of goes along with preventing file separation too. So when you work on the glide path, before you really start to go crazy with your rotary, you're going to prevent file separation and ledges.
Awesome. Lack of confidence coming out of school. Lack of confidence coming out of school.
That's just because we need more education like this. And when you get the clarity, you get the confidence. And that's where I'm talking about where I actually witness transformation. And when I can see that confidence building in somebody's mind. And I think that's really important. Here's a perfect example. Some people will do a root canal. This was actually just on, I think it was your group. Somebody did a root canal on like 2 teeth. And the next day the patient swelled up. And that would freak you out if you didn't know it was normal, but it's all based on your diagnosis. So a lot of people skip over the diagnosis. They don't think it's really necessary. Like, yeah, the tooth had a lesion, but there's so much more to it. And when you understand it with like really good detail, you realize that that flare up was going to happen. And you know when to tell your patient that this is going to happen before they even leave your office.
That's such a good tip for anything, where you over deliver, under promise, or just sort of say it's normal for this to feel uncomfortable for 10 days. And then when it's 5 days, you're a hero. But if you tell them 2, when it's the 3rd day, they're calling. So I intentionally spelled case selection wrong just to annoy my dentist people, Sonia, because I'm saying I want them to focus on it. So the last thing we're going to discuss, and we're not going to solve it all in just a few minutes, but you even started the webinar with this. Whether it's the CBCT, whether it's using your eSchool stuff, the worst feeling is to get stuck doing something that you say, man, this was too hard for me to do. So tell us how dentists listening in live, listening in on demand later, can improve their case selection to stay sane and keep their patients sane.
Case selection is key because that can also impact your confidence. Because if you start something that maybe was a little bit too much for you, you're going to think you suck. And I don't want anyone to think that they suck. So case selection is very key, not just for your patient, but also your confidence. Really key. So maybe it's the patient behavior. Maybe they are the gagger and like, don't deal with it. Or maybe it's a number 2 and they open like this much, punt that. Or maybe they have no pulp chamber. Like there's so many ways, not even using the cone beam, that you can do case selection and save yourself some heartache. If you can bang out 2 crowns faster than that molar root canal, bang out the 2 crowns.
Yeah, I told you, Lindsay put golden nacho case selection is key because it can play into your confidence, especially as a new dentist. you take too many things to heart. And some of the, I'll tell you a quick story. I'll tell everyone a quick story. So I came from a 3-year GPR. I had extracted so many teeth, and my dad's partner saw a new patient and said, oh, our dentist, Dr. Paul, new dentist, he's going to take out these teeth for you. And they were broken off of the gum line. He was 40 years old, amazing bone. I looked in and I said, this is going to be a total nightmare. So in that moment, Sonia, I could have said, I'm going to try it or I'm going to refer. But I had so much training in my residency that I said, hey, I want you to get the best experience possible. 2005, I got on the phone with the oral surgeon's office myself. I said, I'm going to send this guy over. So he went over, he didn't lose confidence in me. I called him that night, back in the olden days of answer machines, no answer. Next day he calls back. He said, I just want to let you know, it took the oral surgeon over 2 hours to get these teeth out. And I was in so much pain, I didn't even pick up the phone. And he wasn't mad at the oral surgeon, but it was just me knowing what I could do and couldn't do. So I just think that that is such a valuable thing to do. Well, we're going to wrap up now. So I'm going to just share with people, if they would like to get help from our dental student debt sponsors, just text debt to 215-543-6454. Actually, one bonus question here, Sonia. How much time do you spend on instrumentation, or what do you teach your students? What was a reasonable amount of time to spend on instrumentation?
Well, every tooth is going to be different, but you have to, I think more than the instrumentation, like let's say you go right to working length with your wave 1 file, right? And your instrumentation is done. You still have to give your hypochlorite some time, even though it was 1 canal and your wave 1 went to the apex in 2 minutes. Right? So you have to still give your hypochlorite some time. And that is a perfect opportunity to just let the hypochlorite sit there, go do 3 hygiene checks, and then come back and finish your root canal.
You do have to admit, you are glad that you don't have to do hygiene checks, right, Sonia?
I am, but I still have to do consults. I still have emergencies. I still have to get up. Right?
Yes, that's true. You do. But the only thing I'll share, and because you might forget it here, is that you're just so dialed into endo the whole time that you can just move with endo on your mind. It's funny, we could be doing a root canal and then a patient goes, what about my denture over here? And it's tough on your brain, which is why being consistent is so key. Since he's such a nice guy, I'm going to let his question sneak in. Getting past calcified canals, is that something you cover in the course that you do? Yes. Is it a key part of being able to do endo successfully?
I think everyone's definition of calcified canal is different. So I think there's a way to treat a canal. One way, with curvy, calcified, and if you just follow, again, that system that I teach, whether it's curvy, calcified, or whatever, you're going to see that that system gets you out. And I'm not talking about a particular rotary system. It's a way that you instrument, no matter what file system you have, and then you could negotiate curvy, calcified canals, whatever kind of canal it is, so much easier.
Awesome. I love that. Love that tip. People need a job, a good job. You cannot do endo without a job. Text job to 215-543-6454. And if you're a stressed out and successful practice owner who's exhausted, text hire to 215-543-6454. And a reminder for you to sign up for this amazing endo coaching program. You can text Sonia to 215-543-6454 to get the Nacho sponsored discount. You can go into the chat right now and you can get the link and the discount. And someone had asked, Sonia, just wanted to see about your calls. They said, are the weekly coaching calls at a preset time in case I couldn't make it?
Yeah, so they're typically Mondays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. This allows the West Coasters to get out of work, get settled in front of a computer. It's a little late for East Coast, but I'm East Coast and I don't mind. And if you can't make it, they're all recorded. And actually, you get lifetime access to eSchool. So the modules are yours. So you get to go through it as many times as you want. And then I actually will keep the recordings of like the last 2 years or so. So you can even go back to the previous cohort. So there's a lot that's always at your fingertips.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate your time. As we wrap up, if you could share one thing in the chat that you learned that you could use from what Dr. Sonia and I shared. I know many of you will move forward and do this course. I know some of you came for free learning, and that's totally okay too. So if you would like to sign up for this course, text Sonia to 215-543-6454. Can't wait to see you in person for food and fun again, Sonia. Thanks for doing this. We're going to
Thank
keep
you.
sharing your e-school. I really, you reminded me of a lot of good best practices with endo, even though I don't do them myself anymore. So I appreciate the walk down endo lane. And this is an amazing service for practice owners, for associates. Remember, helping your patient comes first, but profitability is a big part of being able to survive and thrive as a dentisting human, and helps with that too. Awesome, Sonia. Have a great night. Go enjoy your family.
Thank you, everybody. See you later.
See you later, Sonia. Thank you.
Bye-bye.